Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about another Wheel of Time episode. This is episode 7, The Dark, or Dark, yeah, I don't know why it's hard to say, it feels like a tongue twister. The Dark Along the Ways. That feels like such a clunky sentence. But yeah, as usual, we're gonna have a non-spoilery thoughts or non-spoilery section where I give you my thoughts and opinions without spoiling too many details from the episode, and then we'll move over to the full spoiler section. We can talk in full detail, and I can really ramble about how I feel about this episode. So as always, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And let's begin. So this episode of The Wheel of Time is really cool. We pretty much pick up right where we left off, where they're going into the Waygate, and we leave behind Matt. So that is clearly the exit of Barney from the season. Believe Barney Harris is his name. The actor that plays Matt left the show and left production and stuff, so he's not in the show anymore. That's why we got a season 2 recast. And apparently his exit was fairly abrupt. So that's why he just it's kind of like this cutoff kind of thing. So I guess we won't see Matt again until the next season. But it still kind of fits because in the books he was basically unconscious during his time, so he wasn't doing much of anything. Um, but apart from that, this episode is really cool. I like some of the stuff. I like some of the I like a lot of the exposition we get, I guess. I like some of the world building that we get. We get a lot more world building. The acting, of course, continues to be really well done. Some of the writing in this episode, though, for me, honestly, it was like, I don't know, it came off a little CW like. It was a little too YA for me, and it's just, I was not feeling it, though. Like, so, I don't know, I give the writing kind of middle grade somewhere in there. It wasn't the best writing. This definitely isn't my favorite episode of the season. It was decent. I guess I could say decent. So that basically concludes my non-spoilery thoughts. I think this episode was decent. Not great, not terrible, but just decent. So let's go ahead and just jump into spoilers so I can talk in more detail because we're on the penultimate episode, so we might as well really get into the discussion. So, spoilers for episode 7 of The Wheel of Time. So this episode had a really cool cold open. I really liked the fight where you get the glimpse back at the Aiel Wars and stuff, like the fighting in the snow, and we get to see the same warrior that we saw from the trailers and stuff, the one doing that really cool cape grab and stuff. And holy crap, that lady was pregnant. The one who kicking ass, she was clearly a maiden of the spear and stuff doing that cape grab. But she's literally having contractions while kicking ass. She killed like 15 people or something in that scene and just is still having contractions. I'm like, I know the Aiel are badass, but like, holy crap. Like, that was something else. I was like, that was so cool. I thought that was the best part of the episode, hands down. That cold open, just that entire flashback was the best part of the entire episode. Apart from that, the episode had a lot of parts in it that I really didn't dig. Like, so after we come back from the cold open, we basically jump back to where we were. So they're now in the ways, and Matt has been left behind. So they basically just proceed through the ways, and we hear about the dark wind and stuff, like from the books and everything, the evil wind or whatever that's in the thing. But I think it's tamed and it's a little different than it is in the books because I feel like if the wind got to you in the books, it stole your soul and you were dead. Like, it wasn't so much the wind is the thing giving you the voices or whatever. I don't know. I perceived it very differently in the books. So it came off as a little less threatening to me in this, but that was like kind of the big threat. Like, you're not supposed to channel in the ways and stuff, or it'll like draw the thing to you and stuff. So they're just going and going and going and all this stuff, and then we pretty much figure out that Trollocs are in the ways, and that's really abnormal, of course. So, like, they pretty much get attacked by Trollocs, and someone channels immediately, like, instinctually, because the people that can channel are very new at it and stuff. So, they're like, you're not supposed to do that, so it causes, like, the dark wind to come to them, so, and it sends all these terrible things in their heads and stuff, and so it gives everybody all this just immediate drama, and they're, like, all sad, and they got this darkness immediately throughout the rest of the episode. So, when they realize the Trollocs are there and like all this stuff's going on, they basically have to cut it short because they were going to go straight to the Eye of the World, and now they have to cut it short and they go to another city. So they basically have to hurry up and jump out of the ways and go to Faldara. So this is we get to see a lot more about the Borderlands and stuff like that because we're like right on the edge of the Blight and stuff. So they're not too far from the Eye of the World, but they're not as close as they were. And some of that stuff in the episode wasn't communicated well. So like when they're in the ways, she said like we have a day's walk in the ways to get to the eye of the world. And then when they have to get out early, they go to Faldara, but she says like the eye of the world is like a day's walk outside of the city. Like then like what is the point of the ways if it's I mean if it's I don't feel the distance. I don't feel the distance. Like they were pretty far away from the city when she was saying this, so I'm like, okay, maybe they're like mostly a day's walk from the city, and then it's like a day's walk, so they would have at least saved a day or something like that. I don't know. They didn't really explain the nature of the ways like crunching time. They didn't explain that very well to me. Like it should have been made very like a lot more clear the fact that the ways you can. I mean, they said it's like one step is like 100 steps or something like that. So I guess I don't know. Just for me, it didn't really feel like it was very well communicated, and it just kind of threw me off a lot. But we get to Faldar and we get to see like pretty much the nature of everyone around the Borderlands and stuff, how the culture and stuff is different. So the show, just like the books, continued to lean into the world building and stuff that Robert Jordan created. And I think it's really, really cool. Like they're doing a really good job. Like this entire city and stuff feels very lived in. You feel the different culture. I mean, like they're on the Borderlands, so it's top knots everywhere and stuff. I thought that was so awesome because it's so book accurate. And there's just some really cool stuff like that. A lot of those kind of overall details and stuff are really cool. There are some good, really good music cues in here. Like there was this one part where it was just straight up music, and it was really cool. But then I'm like listening to it and vibing with it and stuff. And then I swear I hear in the song they say Shai Chan, the well no the bad big balls of mom's other name that name I can't pronounce it. Then like made my eyebrow go up. I'm like oh like I could so it made me completely rethink the song and stuff. So I just thought it was really cool. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. But boy, was there some stuff in this episode that took me way out of it and made me cringe, and I just was not digging it. So while in Faldara, and they're in like a bar or whatever, we pretty much get introduced to Min at this point, which I thought was really cool. Like she's way different than in the books and stuff. Like a lot of them, they've changed a lot of the characters, like ethnicities and stuff, to kind of reflect a more diverse situation and everything. And considering this is like post-apocalyptic future, it would make more sense. Well, in all honesty, it would make more sense for everybody to look kind of mixed at this point. But whatever. Like so, it's kind of cool. Like so Min is in there, but I think they also like aged her up quite a bit. She seems a lot more mature than I was expecting. A lot more way, in the adult level. Like she's more truly appeared to Moraine than she is to the rest of them. So if her book future is accurate, then I'm like, meh, that's extra weird. And then it's like it'll present this situation depending on who's cast for Avienda. I mean, Avienda obviously has to be a redhead. It has to be like pale and stuff. So like it creates this situation where if they do what they do in the books, it I think it's gonna come off looking worse. So after we basically introduce the men, like Moraine is talking to her and stuff, trying to have her use her viewing power so she sees, different visions and things over the people's heads and everything. And she's telling Moraine what she sees, and Moraine's trying to interpret and stuff. I thought that was a really cool kind of use of her because that's kind of what happens to her later on. That's kind of how people perceive her and stuff like that, and talk to her and all that stuff later on. But like having that kind of just be almost like she's a secret thing in Moraine's back pocket, like a secret resource. I think that's kind of cool. So it'll add in, it gives her a little more agency, and it kind of gives her this feeling of being more in control and understanding of her visions and stuff because she's very like reluctant about it and like always gives warnings like I don't know blah blah blah, even though her stuff is like never wrong or whatever. So it's really interesting to kind of see it kind of twisted in this different way. But basically, soon after that, Moraine ends up telling the group that, like, yes, we're going to the eye of the world. One of you is the dragon, and the rest of you are likely going to die when we do this. So it's like, eh. So it pretty much sets up a situation where they're like, okay, we got to decide if we're going, kind of thing, even though they really don't have a choice. Like, so they basically kind of push this idea, like, well, we're going to decide. So they all just kind of go off on their own and stuff. And then this really weird, like, CW teen romance kind of stupid little argument situation happens. They all, for no reason at all, like just kind of start bickering with each other. And then Nynaeve says something that implies Perrin has a crush on Egwene, and that's the thing coming between Egwene and Rand. And I'm like, what the hell are y'all doing? Like, why? Like, that is so stupid. Why would you introduce something like that? That's so dumb. And then based on what Perrin says, I guess he's like saying like, no, he doesn't have a crush on her. That's not a thing at all. And like that kind of thing, because like, I just think it's so weird. Why would you add something like that? Why would you do that? Like, you already gave Perrin a wife when he didn't have a wife in the books. Then have him kill her for, like, character development, which is an outdated trope, and then like imply he has a crush on Egwene, like, and then have all like I don't like it. The whole thing felt like artificial drama. It felt really stupid. But then I was thinking about like, what if this is like a hasty rewrite because they lost Barney? So like, what if this is like a slapdash kind of treatment? So I was like, oh, maybe if it's something like that, then I can kind of let it go a little bit. But other than that, like that whole scene, oh my god, it bugged me so much. And then like honestly, everything about Rand and Egwene together bugs me because book knowledge. So it just I don't like it, and it just it irks me. And it's like, why are we putting so much effort into like forcing this ship when it's just not going to be a thing? Like I just or is it? I don't know. Is that a complete change? Or are they going to like modify the? I mean, I guess they could because ultimately a lot of their romances don't really affect the overall through line of the story. So maybe they could. But if that's the case, I mean, I guess it's okay because I don't know. But speaking of romance in general, though, they're like it feels like they're speeding up Nynaeve and Lan. Like I mean, they're having sex and stuff now. So kind of yeah, but based on the way it happened in the book and stuff, they clearly could have been doing a lot of stuff in the background and stuff because they clearly had a lot of development and stuff. Or, well, had some development early on, and but like later on is when a lot of their stuff really takes place. So I guess giving it immediate time and stuff like that, and having it be more of a through line is probably a little bit better. So it's probably just a writing choice. So I'm okay with it, but some of the ways it was presented, I was like, why did you do that? There was two scenes that I really feel like should have been switched, like when she shows up to his room and they just like basically say almost nothing and then end up having sex. I was like, okay, that feels very abrupt and kind of out of nowhere. But then later they have a whole conversation about the nature of his bond to Moraine and stuff like that and how she understands it and everything. I thought that was a much more intimate just considering they hadn't really they had a little bit of conversation at dinner and stuff. But like I feel like that interaction was much more intimate and would have been a much better lead up to something like that versus being basically after pillow talk kind of thing. So I don't know, just some of that was like clumsy. There were some of these things that like I feel like should have been shifted. And there was just like before that when she has dinner with his like surrogate family and stuff, there was a transition thing that it just confused the absolute crap out of me, right? So Nynaeve is looking through the window after Lan goes into the house and he sits down for dinner with the surrogate family. It's his dad's like liege or his lad like one of his swordsmen, like somebody that's really close to his parents and all that kind of stuff. So they're in there sitting at the table and we see her looking at Lan through the window. He's eating and smiling and like interacting and stuff, and she's looking at him through the window. And then in the same shot, like she goes from looking at him, she turns to the left, and he's there. That confused the absolute crap out of me. Like, how is he standing right there when she was just looking at him? I'm like, there's some screw up. There's a missing scene, a missing like bit of time space that happens in there or something. I don't know. Or like, did I go blind for a second? I don't know. There's things like that in this episode that kind of just that took me out of it quite a bit, and it's just like, ugh. And, but like there was like again some other bright spots, like the pretty much the entire thing of Rand figuring out he's the dragon. That well, actually he knew he was the dragon, like because the thing he did at the White Spring Inn, I believe it was called, with the Dark Friend, like so. I like the cool little flashbacks we get because like when they get attacked by the Trolloc in the Waygate, like we kind of assume Egwene was channeling right there, but then they show it like it was actually Rand channeling, but we couldn't see any of the weaves and stuff. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do more of that. Because like in the last episode, it looked like he could see the weaves when Moraine was taking the darkness out of Matt and stuff. But a lot of you in the comments were telling me like maybe he's just seeing the darkness physically being personified or whatever. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like maybe the darkness, the shadow and stuff is like truly physical. I mean, in the same way it was at Shadow Logoth because they saw it on the ground and stuff. So I guess that makes sense. Maybe he was seeing the darkness and not the weaves actually, which lends more sense to this situation where nobody saw the weaves, when Rand channeled. So I thought that was nice. But the whole thing of him just figuring it out and kind of accepting it, like there felt like there was no real lead up to that. There was no like him thinking about it before, him speculating and all that stuff. It was like right after him and Egwene kind of made up and like had sex, and like he just kind of wakes up and just kind of was thinking about stuff, and then just goes like, okay, yeah, I guess I am the dragon. It goes tell Moraine, and then like, let's go to the Eye of the World or whatever. Like, it's just some of the stuff. Just like there had to have been other scenes in there. It feels like some of the ways we get to this stuff is just sloppy and just like I don't know. There's some of it. So I don't know. I came away feeling very lukewarm on the episode. I don't. It was definitely not one of my favorites. I think it was one of the weaker episodes of the season, probably because of the slapdash nature of it. And I think if my guess and speculation is right, that it had to do with them having to rewrite some of it because of the sudden loss of Barney and stuff. So maybe that has a lot to do with it. So I guess I'll just try to give it a bit of a break for that, and hopefully it's not just sloppy work. So yeah, all in all, I'm kind of lukewarm on this episode. It's definitely not one of my favorites, but it's probably my least favorite because of like those issues I was talking about, those things that really pulled me out of it. So yeah, let me know in the comments what was your guys' thoughts on the episode. How did you feel about it? What about some of the reveals and stuff we got? I liked a lot of the land reveals and stuff, that kind of backstory stuff. At first, I was fearing that they weren't going to go into it, but when they did, I really liked it. So that was probably my favorite part of the episode. That and kind of the way we figure out Rand was the dragon and stuff, even though we already knew it and stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. So as always, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I will talk to y'all next time. Peace.